The standard railroad car coupler used in the United States is a familiar sight. The couplers used today did not become common equipment on most trains and railroad cars until the early 1900s. Early railroads relied on the link and pin couplers, such as these, with railroad workers manually connecting the pieces at considerable risk to their safety. The link and pin was dangerously simple. A worker slipped the link into a carriage and secured it with one pin. Then he would try to quickly insert the other side of the link into a holder on the other car as the cars moved slowly toward one another, and secure the other side with a second pin. There was not much clearance or time for a worker to complete this task, and cars could jerk suddenly and unpredictably. Link and pin couplers had few advantages and several drawbacks. Their biggest advantage was their low cost. They could be produced by the thousands using very inexpensive casting methods. The disadvantages were countless. Their quality was poor, there was no standard designs that would allow interoperability across railroads, they were unstable, having considerable slack action, they bent and broke easily, leading to derailments. Most of all, they posed serious safety hazards to workers responsible for coupling rolling stock. The man credited with inventing the semi-automatic coupler that replaced links and pins never worked on a railroad. Eli Janney was a dry goods merchant who lived and worked near the Orange and Alexandria rail yard in what is now Old Town Alexandria. Janney received a patent for his invention in 1873, which included a sidebar that workers could use to open the coupler from the side of the railroad car. With the Janney coupler, workers could stand clear of couplers and railroad cars. It took decades before these couplers were adopted by the railroads. Developing industry standards was time-consuming, and railroads had little financial incentive to adopt the more expensive couplers. Congress finally mandated adoption of automatic couplers with the Safety Appliance Act of 1893. Railroads were given 7 years to comply with the new requirements. By 1902, just 2 years after the legislation took effect, accidents involving couplers dropped from nearly 40% of all railroad worker accidents to just 4%. The Safety Act promoted railroad safety and efficiency through the adoption of reliable, standardized equipment. In the long run, what was good for the workers' fingers was also good business for the railroad. I'm Bob Lamond with the Fairfax Station Railroad Museum. Thanks for visiting us today. We hope you come back in the future to learn more about the important role of railroads and Fairfax Station in the history of Northern Virginia.